Hi guys, welcome to the preview of Liverpool versus Arsenal in the Premier League. Yeah, I say that because we need to travel to Anfield again to play against them in the Carabao Cup. Yeah, it is what it is. So today I have with me Kabir and Anuj.
Hi guys, hi Vipul. Hi Kabir sir.
Hi Anuj, hi Vipul, what's up?
Good, good. Uh, yeah, so it's Liverpool versus Arsenal this week, not weekend. We have a Monday night game.
Fun times.
Yeah, okay. Now, let's move on with Kabir. Let's start with Kabir. Kabir, I have to ask you this. We have a terrible record at Anfield lately. I think we have lost the past 7 seasons. We have not won over there since then. We last won in 2013, which is the match in which Cazorla and Podolski scored. And we haven't won at Anfield since then. So, what do you think will be the situation this time around?
Records are meant to be broken, huh, Vipul? It's time it happens anyway. So, and I think with the way the squad's been set up now, I'm extremely confident on us getting a result there. So, yeah, should be fun. It'll be a great watch, though. Whatever said and done, I think it'll be great football. So, all good.
Yeah. So traditionally, Arsenal versus Liverpool is a high-scoring game. Whenever we travel to Anfield, it's high-scoring. Whenever they come at the Emirates, it's high-scoring. So let's hope for that this time as well, and hopefully we can win. Let me come to you, Anuj sir. What do you think? Last season, we appointed Mikel Arteta as manager for Arsenal Football Club. And how do you rate him as a manager? What do you think about it?
I think Arteta has been a brilliant addition to Arsenal. He has that attacking mentality which we didn't see in the previous managers that were there at Arsenal. He wants his team to start playing a certain way despite the pressing of the other team, despite how much pressure they're putting. He wants them to start from the back, make those short passes, take in the pressure, and then you play the switching ball to the other side and keep switching it from Willian to Aubameyang, and then you start to attack in a better way. So I think Arteta has really been good in getting that mentality to into Arsenal. He has upped their confidence definitely. I think that is something that Aubameyang also mentioned that one of the reason he planned to stay was Arteta. So I think he's brought a very good atmosphere to Arsenal with his whole attacking philosophy. I would definitely give him a 8 out of 10 for whatever he has done till now because Arsenal were really poor in the past few seasons, and now we can see them challenging against the big teams.
And he's managed to beat Jurgen twice, huh?
I think both of
Yeah.
those games that we saw were really off games. The first game we gifted 2 goals and the Community Shield. It's not even a friendly for me. We can be happy with that for now.
Let's see. Let's see. Arteta and Jurgen Klopp. We look at Liverpool and their model, self-sustaining model basically, and we are in a similar state. Last season, we finished eighth, and in the season when Jurgen Klopp took over, Liverpool were in a similar state back then, and we ourselves want to be in that situation, winning the Premier League, trying to compete in the Champions League. So Liverpool is the benchmark for us. If you can shine some light on that, Kabir.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say the difference being that when Jurgen finished, I think eighth in his first year, he had no trophy. Arteta did manage to finish with the trophy. So I think in one way, I think the mentality that Arteta comes in from his previous coaching that sort of helps that, and of course, I think the club's overall sort of motto and way has always been the self-sustaining build from within, and then of course here and there when we need to spend the money, we're able to. I think this transfer market has proved that while keeping a lot of the young English players, the Haaland boys, we've managed to sort of integrate them well into the team. We're willing to let go of, I mean, of course, I think Ozil has unfortunately no place left in the team. Guendouzi, who's not a youth, I mean, he's a youth player, but he's not from the system. Again, willing to cash in on that to bring in some additional sort of the players that we want. So in that way, I think we're well on I mean, it's too soon to say that we're on the same path as Liverpool, but I think the thinking, as you said, is the same, and I think it's where we want to be. Definitely, I mean, it's where the club belongs anyway, in the top two of the Premier League, and definitely, I mean, I think the club owes us a Champions League, to be very honest. With the number of years that we played the tournament, and with the football that we managed to play, I mean, we've done well enough previously. Now it's just, I think, it's going to be a new, more definite version of the game from Arteta's team, and it should be good. Yeah, looking forward to the next couple of years.
Speaking of transfers, I'll ask you this, Anuj sir. What do you think about the transfers made by Arsenal in this summer window? So I'll just go through the transfer for you. Arsenal have made the signing of Willian on a free. Then they have signed Gabriel for 30 million from Lille, and they have bought back Ceballos for a second year loan, and they have signed the Icelandic keeper Alex Winnerson. So, what do you think about the signings?
I think one of the best addition for me personally, I would say it is Willian, because Willian, people slate him a lot that he does not have a final end product. He misses a lot of easy chances, but Willian has the capability. He has a lot of talent. Being Brazilian, he's really, really good on the ball, and his work rate is really good. He'll drop back, he'll help you defend, and then carry the ball forward. And with his passing and precision, I think he's really, really good. He also adds a bonus of being good at set pieces in terms of free kick and corners. I think that is something that Arsenal was lacking. Aubameyang was the one who was taking free kicks in the past, I guess, but Willian is much better option than him. So I think he's one of the best addition in that terms. And the keeper, the centre back Gabriel, I think in the first match we already saw how dominating he can be, but in the second match he was a bit off. So I think he'll take some time to get adjusted to the Premier League space since he came from League One. But he has that talent to be the leading force in your central defense. And the next one, the keeper, I've hardly seen him play, so I don't think I can make any comment on that. I haven't heard the name before, like Arsenal signed him, so
Yeah,
I hardly
even
have any
even
idea
we
on that.
haven't seen much of him,
Correct.
so I give you that.
And the last one,
Coming
I think
to
Ceballos was a very good part of Arteta's team last season. He's really good defending, good in making tackles, and he'll take the ball forward. But I think Arsenal also need one more player who will be a good partner to Ceballos. Xhaka is really good, but he's only good in his passing. I think he's a bit stagnant for the type of football that Arteta wants to play. So I think one more great midfielder who will be like a box-to-box player with Ceballos and be much more of attacking minded would be needed a lot.
Yeah, on that note, Kabir, I would like to tell you this that Hasim Aouar has accepted personal terms with Arsenal, and it looks like the deal will be done for 40 million. And Leon is a tough nut to crack, but they might be able to let him go for 40 million. So hopefully that will happen.
Usiwawa would be, I mean, it would be fun to have him in the squad. No doubt about it. I think it'd be a great addition. But again, till either Ornstein says it or Arsenal.com say it,
Yeah.
I'll just wait patiently. I'm okay with that. I have no problem right now with where we are. Of course, I think additions are something that we would look forward to, and Arteta does sort of rate Aouar, and I think we would then shift formation. We wouldn't be playing a double pivot anymore. It'll be a single pivot. So we need a player for the single pivot more than anything else. And that would be interesting to see who comes in, because Aouar will then play more attacking. He will not play the pivot. So we'll have to see. If Aouar is coming, that means someone else also has to come in. Because right now we don't have a player who can play the single pivot.
Yeah. Yeah. Anand sir would like him at Liverpool, right?
Definitely. So if we were not getting Thiago, Hasim Aouar would have been the second best option. He has been really good with Leon. They gave him Juninho's number. That showed the confidence they had in the kid in the initial stages. So I think he would be a brilliant signing, and definitely Leon should not let him go for 40 million. If
Okay.
60 to 70 million minimum should be there, and I don't think they should.
Well, we could say the same thing about Bayern letting go of Thiago. That's ridiculous.
I,
For
I think it was more
35.
about the personal terms agreed in that Like he had already agreed to join Liverpool with Klopp when he had
So
spoken.
any which ways,
Arteta has the same pull.
yeah. But any which ways, Bayern has this policy. They don't let the players go into the last year of the contract. They just sell them.
Yeah.
So it's the same with us. If Aubameyang was not going to sign, he was going to be sold, and he would have gone if not for Mikel Arteta. For me,
Yep.
yeah. Speaking of Thiago Alcantara, Kabir, coming on to you.
Yep.
Liverpool have made signings of Thiago Alcantara. They have signed Konstantinos from Olympiacos, and they have signed Diego Jota from Wolves. So, what is your take on that?
Yeah, so for me, the thing is obviously with the left back with Konstantinos, they've got a good, they've signed a very, very good sort of left back. Again, I think he's a lot more defensive than Robertson. And the other thing is that he's a supremely fit guy. So in terms of doing the work that Liverpool need in games that, for example, with the schedule that's going to be, it's going to be extremely hard to have Robertson playing all the games. So I think he's an able number 2 for Robertson. He will provide more of a defensive cover than Robertson does in terms of, I think he's a little more, as I said, I think less attacking than Robertson. So I think it's something that gives Jurgen a different change in the game. He's also capable of playing as the third centre back on the left side. So that's an interesting one for them in case, in games that they need it, they can play Robertson and him. So it gives Robertson the freedom to go in front while he has cover behind him. So it's definitely a good signing for me. I think, if we get Yusuf Abwa, probably then I would say a different sort of signing of the season might come on our side. But right now, Thiago is definitely the signing of the season for any of the clubs. I think Liverpool have managed an absolute trump card with that. While I know everyone was jumping in his first game over 75 passes, he did make it against a 10-man Chelsea. There's a big difference. I know 45 minutes to make 75 is great, but I think there's an up and down there. I think he will be defensively exposed in the Premier League. It is different from the leagues that he's played in before. With Bayern, he had massive help in just that team. Overall, that team. So I think he will be a little bit more exposed here defensively. But on the ball, I think Liverpool have managed to really get probably the best central midfielder in the world on the ball, for sure. And it's going to be, I think that really helps them in Jurgen's idea of trying to retain the Premier League. If they didn't sign Thiago, I would have very openly said I don't think Liverpool are going to hold on to the Premier League. I think this makes a huge difference. The Jota signing actually is an interesting one because now then they have Minamino. If they keep Brewster, they have Brewster and they have Jota to replace the front three in games that, or have substitutions for that front three. And I think it's an interesting one. And I was actually very surprised that Nuno let go of Jota. And I think they should have definitely asked for more money for Jota. Again, he's young. He's very, very exciting. He's of course he scored goals in the Premier League with Wolves, so we know what he's capable of, and it'll be interesting to see what Klopp can do with him.
Okay, I think Jota has cost more money because I think Liverpool had one player going the other way to Wolves. Anush sir, if you can help me on that.
The centre back Kiana Hoover, he moved to Wolves in. I wouldn't say the swap deal, but he went for around 10 million plus bonuses. So.
Yeah, otherwise Jota was a 50 million player. So that's a decent amount. Yeah.
So the entire amount that we are going to play is 42 million and then minus the 10. So it's around 32 million.
Yeah. All right.
Definitely interesting signing.
He fits the bill really well in terms of pressing. Like he himself mentioned that I like to press and he would like to play for Liverpool because they play a similar game. And I think we can even start with all four, like Mane, Firmino, Salah, and Jota, if we try to switch to a 4-2-3-1 formation in the future. Because Firmino, we have seen him not do really, really well in the past few games at the false nine position that he's playing. He's more of creator than scoring goals this time. So I think he can drop down to a number 10 position. Salah goes as a complete striker, or even Jota and the other one plays on the
It'll be
wing.
interesting to see whether Jota is a replacement for Firmino, to be very honest. Then you will slot Salah through the center and you'll put Jota on the side. I mean, it's interesting to see
Yeah.
because I think over the time with Firmino's lack of goals, I think it's something that's worried Jurgen in terms of, technically he's still our number 9. Like, I mean, he needs to be getting us the goals. While he does a lot of good work for the team, he's I mean, I shouldn't be saying that he scored a hat-trick against us, but in terms of his general goal scoring, it's definitely come down. And I think Jota is more, like, obviously if you put Salah through the center, you have a very credible goal scoring threat. And then you have Jota, who can do a lot of work from the outside as well. So it'd be interesting to see what Jurgen does with this team.
Yeah. So Firmino is similar to Lacazette. So both are number 9s. And for me, I think Lacazette is in a good goal scoring touch than Firmino last season as well as this season.
And we have a better
So,
song for him than they have for Firmino, so it's all good. Yeah.
yeah. Guys, let's do a combined 11. All right, of Liverpool and Arsenal. So we'll do a flat 4-3-3. All right,
Okay.
and we'll do it for the current squad. So it's not like the all-time combined 11. So
Yeah.
let's start with the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Alisson.
I don't think
Alisson.
there's any doesn't even come close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that because Bernd Leno has not reached to that level yet. So Alisson in goal. Okay, let's move on to the two central defenders.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because Van Dijk would be one for sure.
Yeah, who's for me, Van Dijk is the benchmark. We would like Gabriel Saliba to reach that level as soon as possible.
Yeah.
It should benefit us eventually. So there's Van Dijk in one position. Who's the other one?
Ooh, that's
First, if you are going to say Trent Alexander-Arnold, I have to say that he has not been up to the mark lately. And even with Van Dijk, he's making some mistakes lately.
Yeah, so is Alisson, to be fair. So, but the thing is, I think Leno wasn't great in our last in the last Prem game. I think he was a lot better in the Cup game, but in the Premier League right now, I think no goalie is safe, to be very honest. But in terms of if we want to play out, and both teams want to play out from the back, Alisson's definitely right now slightly ahead of Leno in terms of the distribution and everything else that he gives the team. So that's why I think Alisson would be a better pick.
So we'll see Alisson, then Van Dijk, and who's the next one?
Okay, let's see what Anuj sir goes with.
I think the second one, centre back, I would like to put the one that he's going to play in the central defense with Van Dijk. I think I'll put in Fabinho in that position because the centre backs that Arsenal have not performed that well in the past, and the ones that have just come in, it's really early to judge them based on one or two games. So only for that fact, I would put in Fabinho because Gomez has been not performing that great in the past few games, and Matip is out injured. So Fabinho is going to be.
Do you think that Fabinho is better than the proper central defender which Arsenal have? Any of the
Fabinho has been an original right back that he's played.
We have David Luiz. All right, David. If it is a flat back four, I wouldn't pick David Luiz.
Oh no, I would because you have if you're partnering Van Dijk next to him. Yeah. I have defensive cover, so I have absolutely no problem there. And now then I have David Luiz doing what he does best, then he can distribute the ball up. I mean, if you have two centre backs that can play out from the back, why not? And to be fair to Luiz,
that's a good shout. Yeah. But then we also have to look about the defensive side of things as they are both central defenders. So Van Dijk is balanced in both, but David Luiz isn't. I can say he's even better than Van Dijk in terms of distribution.
Exactly. So you might as well play him and have Van Dijk do the defensive side.
Defensively is not great, na Kabir. So we are looking at defenders.
But you're still talking about trying to make an ultimate team between both, and an ultimate team to have the distribution coming from Alisson, Van Dijk, and Luiz, while you'll have, I'm guessing, there's no competition in right and left back right now. It will be
Okay, so
Trent and
yeah, so we agree on Van Dijk and David Luiz. Okay, so let's move on to the left back.
yeah. For me, it has to be Robertson. Unfortunately, left and right back right now. I mean,
I think in
compared
the
from
entire
last
world,
season, yeah,
we don't have that competition.
yeah, because the number of assists both of them were able to provide with the 4-3-3 formation, it just like I mean, if them both of them are bombing in front, it'll be fantastic. So I would put both the Liverpool left
Okay.
and right back for sure.
Yeah, let's see. Hopefully next season when we do a combined 11, I would like to see Kieran Tierney there.
Oh, for
After.
sure. Huh?
He has that potential to
Yeah, and
Yeah,
talent.
actually,
he's
yeah.
a,
The thing is, for Scotland, Tierney had his injury issues, but whenever he was fit, he was ahead of Robertson.
Robertson, yeah, with the system that they play there, yeah. And the other thing was, I think, like it's a bit unfortunate to say this, but with Arteta playing him as part of the back three in Arsenal, it gives the Scottish manager the opportunity to play him as left centre back and let Robertson play left back. I don't know whether he's actually going to do it, but it'll be interesting to see whether that's something that they explore internationally, because Scotland are extremely lucky to have both of them at the same time of their careers.
Yeah. No,
Playing
that's
for
the
them.
thing. Nah, he already plays left sided centre back in a three, and Robertson plays wide. So that is what I'm saying. Before he had his injury issues, he used to play with Robertson, and sometimes Kieran Tierney is also playing on the right for Scotland. So he has no issues playing in the left or the right position. Let's see after a full season with Arsenal. Let's see how he copes up. Okay, so we move on to the right back.
Yeah, Trent again. I mean, dead ball opportunity, crossing, everything. So there it is. Yeah, well, yeah, there we go. I've got 30 at the back. So we're not too far away there, my friend.
Full back competition going on here.
So,
Let's
so
hope the player on the back of the shirt of
yeah,
replaces here
for
in the
sure.
team.
But I think based on the last couple of seasons, in fact, mostly last season, I think as an overall attacking force, Trent just added so much more, and defensively he's reasonably sound. There are gaps in his game for sure. I was actually surprised Chelsea didn't expose more of his 1v1 against Timo Werner in the last game, and I think this game it'll be interesting because I think Arteta will try and isolate Aubameyang against Trent defensively, so that should be fun. But Trent would definitely be my first choice right back in a combined level.
Yeah. So let's move on to the midfield. Before we start, I'll just count out Thiago since he has just signed for Liverpool.
Unfair.
Yeah.
No offense, Amit sir, but he has played only 2 matches. So
I
yeah.
think he's only played a half
Um,
a minute.
yeah. So in the center of those three,
Oh, that's
who do we go
interesting.
with?
It's a
We have
4-3.
Fabinho in that position. We have Granit Xhaka in that position. We have Naby Keita in that position. We have Mohamed El Sideways El Neni
Oh man.
in that position.
Respect,
Opposite-
respect. Best ball keeper in the last 2 games of the Premier League. Huh?
yeah.
But
And who else do we got?
Jordan Henderson, but he's out injured for the game, so I don't
Yeah.
think he's
Yeah.
also out of contention.
yeah.
You can put in, but
Yeah, but for me, shockingly, I would actually put Wijnaldum in the base of the three there. I think
but
he
does
does.
Wijnaldum play in the center or
Yeah,
with
I mean
Wijnaldum?
he's done that, so I would put him there.
Okay.
And the left and right of that, I would have. Anutsa is going to be a bit surprised, but I would have Xhaka on the left and I would have Sebas on the right. I think that would keep the ball moving extremely well between those three. So I mean, I'm looking at if this combined 11 is going to play, I'm looking at just outscoring the other team. Like forget anything else. Like I mean, this team can
So,
just.
do you agree?
So
I think apart from the Xhaka one, I agree with Wijnaldum at number 6 because he is really good in terms of keeping the ball, regaining the ball, and keeping the ball moving. So he's very good technically on On his right, I would have Ceballos, and on the left, I would definitely put in Naby Keita because he has that attacking movement. He's really good on the ball. He's really quick, and he gels really well with our front three. So Keita, Wijnaldum, and Ceballos.
Okay, so let's stick with Wijnaldum in the center on the left of the midfield.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I've gone for Xhaka. He's gone for Keita. You'll have to pick the winner here.
Whoa, he's gone for Keita. And how many games has Keita played last season? I don't think so. He has played much.
In the first half of the season, he was injured, but second half he played a few games.
Okay, so on consistency, we can't get him in.
I love it how Arsenal always pick the technicalities.
No, I have to be honest. He's a good player. But who do we have there? We have Ceballos.
Yeah, no, Ceballos is playing on the right. We've already decided. Wijnaldum, Ceballos is.
Ceballos plays on the right.
Yeah. So on the left of the three, I was like, I picked Xhaka for his distribution straight out. And I think since the incident after Crystal Palace, I think he's actually he's pulled his socks up. You have to give credit. I genuinely thought he was gone. His career in the Premier League was over.
Yeah.
And he's managed to really pick himself up. So yeah.
So in the center, we go with Wijnaldum.
Yeah.
On the left, we go with Xhaka. I would go with Xhaka as well because of his passing range. And purely because he's playing with Robertson, which will be a good chemistry.
That would be a pass.
So on the right we go with Ceballos. So that's a 3 done. Now this is interesting. The front three. So let's start with the number 9.
Number 9 for me, I would actually play Salah through the center.
I think it would be Mane, Salah, and Aubameyang. However, they are able to adjust in that front three.
That front three would be the same. It would be Oba, Salah, Mane, and they can keep moving around. Full freedom.
All three are capable of playing anywhere, I think.
On the left, as he usually does.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, they have the freedom to move, but Oba would start on the left for sure, Mane on the right, and Salah through the center.
Okay. All right. So, and who will be the manager of this team?
Ooh, that's a tough one, huh? I would go with Fleck, like the Bayern coach. Like I'm not picking between these two for sure. Like for me, actually, the perfect manager for this combined team would be Wenger, no doubt. Like no doubt, it would be, it would be total football beyond expectation.
Yeah, I would like to be the manager of this team.
Yeah, but I think Hansi Fleck, I think Fleck would be a fantastic pick for this in terms of the intensity. And I'm still not answering on between these two managers for sure.
I think just for fun, we'll give this team to Mourinho and see how he tries to play with this team.
Oh, don't get me started, man.
Parking the bus, this team would be really, really fun to watch.
No, the thing will be, if Mourinho is there, he will play Aubameyang as the left back and Mane as right back. Okay, yeah, so we are done with our combined 11. I'll post the combined 11 in the comment section below, guys. Do have a look at that. And if you have some other suggestions, you can mention it in the comments below. All right.
And help us out with the coach, the head coach, because clearly none of us could make a decision on that.
If you can choose between Jurgen Klopp and Mikel Arteta, guys, go ahead and let us know it in the comments below. So maybe you can help these guys choose for the manager on Thursday, basically. Yeah, because we are playing Liverpool again, and ideally we would like to win on both occasions, but it's since it's an away game.
Yeah, I think the second one you'll still have a chance because Klopp, I have never seen him take the Carabao Cup seriously. But this time with the bit of depth, I think we'll go for it. But still, I'm not too comfortable with that.
I don't know, man. He doesn't look like a man who's going to take it seriously.
Right.
So, yeah.
But I think Jurgen does believe, like whatever said and done, I think he does believe, and if he's playing his competitors and he believes that the top 6 in the Premier League are top 6, top 7 are competitors, he doesn't take those games easy, for sure. I don't think it's something that, because at the end of the day, whenever you one up someone at that level, you get a victory over someone at that level, even if you play one or two of the main team players, it hits. It definitely hits.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that Arteta drove home with the Community Shield. While it might not be important, he made sure. I mean, the team made sure that we celebrate, like all of them, Oba, everyone celebrated the goals, making sure that, listen, you have to realize that it still means something. At the end of the day, uh, a W there can get into your head somewhere. You make one mistake in one of those games, it'll come back to haunt you the next time you play that same opponent. So, like now, for sure, I think Liverpool are wary of the fact that that switch in play is going to happen. Oba's going to get a run in. Will Oba take that, that top corner? I mean, it's in Liverpool's head for sure. No doubt about it. Whatever said is
That
done.
has become a trademark of
Yeah.
Aubameyang. So hopefully he does
I
it
think a
this time.
repeat of the last season's Carabao Cup game would be fun.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah.
One player who made a crazy assist in that game. Kabir, do you remember?
No.
He's a number 10.
Oh, Mesut? Oh man, I don't even. Wow, it's gone so back beyond memory. I don't even remember his assist in that game. But yeah.
I do remember it, and
The only Arsenal goal I remember is the Joe Willock
Oh,
stunner.
that oof.
that was a screamer.
Absolute fire. Fire.
And Chamberlain on the other side.
Yeah. Just ridiculous. Yeah.
All right.
That's
I have
like
one
FIFA.
last question for you guys.
Yeah.
Since the Premier League has started a couple of weeks back, I would like you to predict the top four for this season. So I'll start with you, Anuj sir. Of course, Liverpool, Man City are going to be switching places. I don't know. Let's see at the end of the season. But the top two are fixed. Maybe Chelsea can sneak in the top two. So yeah, your predictions for top four this season.
This is something that I discussed with few of my friends in the beginning. On paper, like with the signings that Chelsea had made, like only based on that fact, I think they should be winning the Premier League. Taking the fact away that Lampard is young and this team will take some time to gel together. But just on the terms of players that they have on paper, I think Chelsea should win the Premier League. Second, Manchester City, because
So
no
you
matter
have the Premier League, then we have Man City.
the third would definitely be Liverpool, and fourth place, strong contention between United and Arsenal.
Okay, Kabir, let's move on to your top four predictions. We'll come back to answers
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, I mean, I'm terribly shocked that Anutsa chose Chelsea. I mean, with that backline, man, absolutely no chance of winning the
It's
league.
another superstition that I believe in, so I'm not going to let that happen.
So my top four would be City first. I think Pep's definitely got Klopp's. I mean, he's going to gun for Klopp this time for sure. While they haven't replaced Aguero and David Silva yet, I think Aguero will still get goals this season. David Silva, I think they're not going to miss him as much because I think Kevin De Bruyne is just going to absolutely explode. The boys, he's at a different level of playing from last season to this season. We've already seen him just like carry it forward. I think he's going to bang in more goals. Their signing of Ferran Torres has been very, very good. But I do think that City will be slightly more defensive this season. I think we'll see a very a change in the way City play for sure. They will ensure that they don't lose a lot of the games they would have done if they played more attacking football. Then I would say Liverpool second. I just think it'll be hard for Liverpool to be champions, reigning champions, to continue holding on to the trophy. I just think at some point that will hit them. Like they might lead a lot of the Premier League, through the season, but I think that would definitely weigh in on them because Klopp's never done it himself. He's never won two in a row. So it's something that'll be interesting to him. But I think the signing of Alcantara does help him in that aspect because he's done it. He's done it freaking multiple times. It's ridiculous. But I still do think that we've seen cracks in Alisson. We've seen cracks in Van Dijk. With the intensity of football, with the lack of the summer break, I think these could be factors in ensuring that Liverpool, not ensuring, but sort of enabling that Liverpool don't win the league again. 3, I would go for Arsenal. Definitely biased on that, but with the fact that I think that Arteta is building the squad to do that, and I think we will definitely push. There's a lot more steel in us than there is otherwise. We are sort of getting the squad depth now. If we do end up getting the 2 signings that we want, if we finally get our man Thomas Partey, and if we get Yusuf Avwa, it'll be the cherry on top of the cake. I think those 2 would definitely ensure it. While I think the present squad is still very capable of doing it, those 2 would ensure it. I think that would be a guaranteed sort of 3rd place for sure. I think we'll put a few scares in Liverpool and City, but I think that would be it. And 4th, I would put Chelsea, because I think Lampard has it in him to push the squad. It's just that I think with the number of signings, I mean, that's 7 new players or 8 new players in the squad. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. It's just based on the quality of the players that they brought in, I think they'd be able to secure 4th. I think, unfortunately, I don't think Spurs are going to do anything. I mean, it's not even worth mentioning, to be honest. But I mean, Gareth Bale is just it's just basically for them to just get some jersey sales. I don't think he's going to affect.
Yeah, because yeah.
I don't think he's going to
affect. Gareth Bale signing is more like a.
It's papering over cracks. Yeah.
Poster boy returning to the club kind of signing, because he's clearly unfit and he hasn't played any football, so not happening.
I can't wait to see him go against Traore. Rainy day in Wolves versus Traore. That will be mad fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, the rest of the contenders, I don't think United have the squad, and I don't think they have the mentality right now.
While Manchester United is in a turmoil.
Yeah, while I think Donny van de Beek was a great signing, I just think it's a bit of a confused signing in terms of how they're going to play that system. Again, as I said, Spurs, no point. Leicester would be interesting. I think, again, if Leicester get a couple of more players in, their starting 11 is very, very good. It's just that they don't have depth in squad. And Brendan's a very good manager, so it'd be interesting. But I think this would be the top 4 for sure for me.
Okay. So for me also, I think Manchester City is going to win the Premier League this season. Even though I think they are not still ready yet, but there is a week to go for this transfer window. So I'll have Liverpool finishing 2nd. Then 3rd, I'll have Chelsea, and then 4th, I'll have Arsenal. Chelsea only because I think last season the players that they have been replaced by new players. So they will have problem gelling with each other, but they will find a way to finish 3rd only because the players they have signed are all superstars. It's not like they have signed average players, all are superstars. So even if they are not gelling together, some odd goal here and there might get them those results which will propel them to the 3rd position. It's not a progress, of course, because they finished 3rd last time, and it's 3rd this time as well.
And they spent the most in the Premier
League. Yeah, but for 4th,
I don't think they have experienced the COVID problem anywhere.
Yeah,
the whole financial loss or anything.
Yeah.
I think Roman sold a boat or something.
Guys, so that is it. I know Kabir and I will always predict Arsenal winning. Of course, in this time around, we have Anuj sir favoring us with a 3-0 win. Yeah. So it's 3 against nobody. The Arsenal win. And let's see how this goes. We'll of course have the post-match show and a bit of match analysis with Kabir after the match. And Anuj sir, I'll see you again during the week with a brand new football show. Hopefully, Liverpool have won both the matches and in a good. But let's see.
Yeah, I mean the hardcore fan in me is saying 2 W's for us, but But the football coach in me says I take a win and a draw.
It's not going to be easy since we have beaten Liverpool in the last two matches. Jurgen Klopp will be pumped up for this game.
100%.
Yeah, he
And I
might.
think
He
Liverpool are in a better
Arteta's
form than
tactics
what.
by now. So
Yeah.
Arteta has to go. Yeah, Arteta has to come with some new tactic to surprise Klopp.
Result football. I mean, I don't care at this point. Just get it over the line. Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Kabir and Anuj, to coming onto the show. Of course, we'll have the post-match show and also the football show with Anuj. So that is it, guys. So don't forget to check out our other shows as well: Football Daily, the football show, and we have the preview show and post-match show with Kabir, of course. And yeah, so we play Liverpool twice in this week, and hopefully we can win.
For 2 Ws. Yeah.
Yes, that is it,
Go
guys.
Arsenal. Come on,
Yeah.
yeah, Gunners.
Yeah. See you guys. Ciao.